At the charity gala, Alexander led me in, dressed to the nines. My arm linked with his. His secretary, uninvited, came and linked her arm with his as well. Alexander's face turned cold. He threw her off and scolded. Shameless. I have a wife. In everyone's eyes, he was clearly defending me, but I couldn't feel any happiness, because a paparazzo had photographed him and his secretary kissing in his car. Tonight was a charity gala. It was a grand event, with invitations extended to the titans and capitalists of various industries. On such occasions, Alexander and I were always expected to attend together. We were, after all, the famous model couple of our circle. Tonight was no exception. I was dressed in my finest. A priceless necklace he had recently bought for me gracing my neck. Understated yet eye-catching. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. He walked over and kissed my cheek. My wife is truly beautiful. Tonight, you will be the most dazzling. At the banquet hall, I linked my arm with his and we walked in gracefully, naturally drawing everyone's attention. Mrs. Thorne is so beautiful tonight. That dress is the latest design, isn't it? It's gorgeous. If I'm not mistaken, the necklace you're wearing is the one Mr. Thorne just bought for you at auction. He really spoils you. Oh my. From the moment they walked in, his eyes have been fixed on you. What a loving couple. I'm so envious. My upbringing made it easy for me to accept these compliments, but my heart was filled with a sweet warmth. I subconsciously looked at him, and he returned my gaze with a look of adoration. Just then, a figure darted out from the crowd, moving quickly, and expertly linked her arm with his. Before I could even register who it was, he had already shaken her off, pushing her aside forcefully, his face cold. Shameless. My wife is right here. The crowd had also reacted by then, but no one said a word. Their eyes darted between the three of us, a look of anticipation on their faces. Oh my. Mr. Thorne. I'm so sorry. I mistook you for someone else. Your back looks so much like my boyfriend's. I didn't see clearly, she said in a cloying voice, bowing slightly. From my angle, her ample bosom was even more prominent. Mrs. Thorne. You probably don't mind, right? I'm Mr. Thorne's secretary. We have a purely professional relationship, she said, looking at me. Not a hint of guilt in her eyes, only a veiled provocation. I was displeased. Just as I was about to react, he spoke first. All right, Miss Lee, look at the occasion. We'll let it slide this time, but don't let it happen again. As she turned to leave, the necklace around her neck flashed in my eyes. I looked closely and found it familiar. Mr. Thorne is so virtuous. We didn't even have time to react. Yes, Mrs. Thorne is so lucky. He nipped that little affair in the bud himself. Seeing that it was just a misunderstanding, everyone looked disappointed, but they continued to make polite conversation. But this time, I had no mind for their flattery. I just asked him with a cold face. The necklace that secretary was wearing, isn't that the one you gave me last time? The one I said was ugly and didn't want. How did she end up with it? I had been sulking all last night. Even though he had explained it was an employee benefit, I still hadn't forgiven him. You can't just give something so personal, I had said. In my mind, giving a necklace was a very intimate act. Wife, don't be angry. I'm a man. I'm not that detail-oriented. It won't happen again. He had apologized in my ear, his tone sincere. I couldn't say much more, but I still felt a knot in my chest and hadn't slept well all night. When I woke up in the morning, my head was splitting. I was rubbing my temples as I opened the bedroom door. Looking downstairs, I saw Miss Lee and him sitting on the sofa, although they were facing each other. The scene was somehow jarring to me. He saw me and stood up, smiling gently. Isabella, you're up. Come on down. I know you were angry yesterday, so I had Miss Lee come over early this morning to apologize. I stared at her. She had the same look in her eyes as last night. No guilt, only provocation. I slowly walked downstairs, sat down beside him, and took a sip of the coffee on the table. Only then did I speak slowly. It's just a necklace, and one that I didn't want. There's no need to make such a fuss. If Miss Lee likes it, she can have it. Mrs. Thorne, you're mistaken. This necklace wasn't a gift. It was a reward from Mr. Thorne. Even if you didn't want it, it's very precious to me. You were asked to apologize. Why are you saying so much? His expression seemed to darken, as if he were getting angry. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Thorne, for the misunderstanding. I'll be more careful next time." Her tone was perfunctory, completely insincere. It didn't sound like an apology at all, more like a triumphant declaration. "All right, you've apologized. You can leave now," he said, again speaking before I could. Once was fine, but the second time, I couldn't help but suspect he was indulging this secretary, worried that I would punish her. I didn't say a word the whole time, just quietly watched her come and go. He took my hand and pulled me into his arms. "You should have cooled down by now. I promise you, it won't happen again. I won't make the same mistake twice." I felt the vibration of his chest. Silent, but my heart couldn't calm down. A woman's intuition told me that things were not that simple. A woman's intuition is indeed terrifyingly accurate. After that day, I secretly hired a professional paparazzo to investigate his whereabouts. In just a few days, I had a lot of photos of the two of them together. I flipped through the thick stack of photos in my hand. Going into the same restaurant could be a business dinner. Going into the same hotel could be a business trip. But kissing in the car, what was that? Personal service. Even if I wanted to make excuses for him, I couldn't hold it together when I saw the photo of them kissing. My heart was quickly filled with hurt and sadness. The paparazzo had also investigated the relationship between him and her. It turned out they had been together in high school for 3 years. In their senior year, because his mother thought her family was too poor and not good enough for him, she had broken them up. She had been heartbroken and had left the city. She had been living in another city all these years and had recently come back. Unable to find a job, she had contacted him, and he had given her the position of secretary. After reading the report, my heart was filled with more sadness and disappointment. He had never told me he had a first love. If she needed a job, he could have helped her find a better one. But he hadn't. He had put her by his side. It was obvious he still had feelings for her. I still remember on our wedding day, he had knelt on one knee, holding the ring. His eyes red as he promised to love only me for the rest of his life. But this man had ultimately failed me. I wasn't going to just endure it. That night, as soon as he walked in, I threw the stack of photos in his face. They scattered on the floor. A chaotic mess. The photo of him and her kissing was particularly prominent. "Give me an explanation." Even though I knew the situation was a foregone conclusion, I stubbornly wanted an explanation. He looked at me with guilt, silent for a moment, then spoke. "It's not what you think. We were just high school classmates. She came to me for help finding a job. I happened to need a secretary, so I hired her. Well, my high school classmates and I don't kiss in the car," I said coldly. "That was an accident." She said her seatbelt was stuck, so I went to help her. Who knew she would suddenly kiss me? I pushed her away immediately. "Really, wife, I'm telling the truth. Believe me." It was clear he was anxious. He grabbed both of my arms, desperate for me to believe him. "You're still lying. Why did you never tell me you dated her in high school?" I shook off his hands and took a step back. "I was afraid you would mind." He took another step forward and pulled me into his arms. Logically, I should have pushed him away and accused him, but I softened. After all, he was the man I loved, and he had already explained. "Isabella, if you're still angry, you can hit me." He took my hand and slapped his own face a few times. "Then fire her tomorrow. Get her another job. Anything is fine, as long as she's not by your side," I told him. "Well, she's a woman, with no family to take care of her. As her old classmate, I should help her out." I could see his hesitation and difficulty. "I'm not saying don't help her. I'm saying find her another job, as long as it's not in your company." I was very displeased with his reluctance. "All right, when I find a suitable job for her, I'll let her go," he said, still avoiding the answer I wanted. I said she should leave tomorrow. I felt a growing sense of unease. He was constantly putting it off. A phone rang. He took out his phone. The caller ID was Secretary Lee. The unease in my heart reached its peak. "Alex, I was in a car accident. I'm at the hospital now." Her cloying voice hadn't even finished before he was out the door. I could faintly hear his anxious voice. "How did that happen? Is it serious?" "At the Central Hospital. I'm on my way." He had completely ignored me, leaving me alone to stare at the door. Remembering what he had just said, I felt that my moment of weakness had been a joke. I laughed at myself. A man's subconscious reaction is the most real. It seemed that woman was more important in his heart. He had just left, and I was in my car, heading for the hospital. I don't know why I was going. Perhaps to see with my own eyes the pain on his face for another woman. To finally kill my own heart. I stood at the door of the hospital room and could clearly hear the conversation inside. The injuries aren't serious. You can be discharged in a few days. For now, just rest. I'll have someone come and take care of you. He was standing as he spoke to her. You'll come and see me, won't you? I don't believe you don't understand how I feel about you. It was her voice, tinged with a hint of sorrow. When you've recovered, I'll find you a better job. Don't bother me anymore. I'm married. Without you by my side, even the best job would be torture. She seemed very sad. Her voice choked with sobs. I didn't listen anymore. I pushed open the door and walked in. The room was well equipped. It must have been arranged by him. Otherwise, a secretary like her wouldn't have been able to afford it. Seeing me at the door, he was flustered. He came over and took my hand. Why are you here? She was in a car accident. All alone with no one to look after her. I just came to see her as an old classmate. The same excuse again. Hearing it once was understandable, but repeating it just made it seem like a cover up. I pulled my hand from his and said to him, "You go wait in the car first. I'll have a chat with Miss Lee." Hearing my words, he didn't move. What? Are you worried I'll eat her? I asked, looking at him. In the end, he left the room. Only the two of us were left. I pulled a chair over and sat down. She had dropped her pitiful act and was looking at me with a triumphant expression. Miss Croft, you probably don't know that Alex and I were deeply in love in high school. Whether you know or not, it doesn't matter anymore. That's in the past. Now, his wife is me. My husband's words just now were very clear in their rejection. I hope you won't interfere in our marriage. I paused and continued. Or, do you enjoy being a mistress? I watched as her triumphant expression turned to a dark scowl. Then she suddenly laughed out loud. So what? The one who is not loved is the mistress. I just have to play a little trick. And he will abandon you to come to me. He loves me the most. She puffed out her chest. I am his white moonlight. He will never forget me. I stood up and looked down at her. Miss Lee, you're even willing to harm yourself. It seems you're afraid your life is too long. With that, I pulled the 4 from the back of her hand. Amidst her pained cry, I left the room. I walked to the car, opened the door, and got into the back seat. He was in the driver's seat. Wife, there's really nothing between us anymore. We were young and foolish back then. We didn't even know what love was. Dating was just for fun. The moment I closed the door, he was anxiously explaining to me all the fun I had when I was young. I've cut ties with completely. Not a single ex-boyfriend has popped up in the middle of things. I looked at his eyes in the rearview mirror and met his gaze. Isabella, I really know I was wrong. I'll fire her immediately. I will never see her again. Forget it. I'm tired. Just drive. I didn't want to hear his explanations anymore. My own heart was in turmoil. I didn't know how to face him. I couldn't completely let go of what he had done with her. But I also didn't want a rift in our relationship. So I chose to avoid it for now. If I didn't love him, perhaps I would have left him without hesitation. But on the contrary, I loved him very much. He was my youthful crush. We had gone to the same university. During a school-organized hiking trip, I had encountered a snake. I was so scared my legs went weak. I couldn't move, just trembled. My classmates were also worried, but they all stood by and watched. No one was willing to risk helping me shoo the snake away. Only he, when he passed by, had stepped forward without hesitation, which had resulted in him getting bitten. Fortunately, it wasn't poisonous. After that, I had started to pay attention to him, and gradually came to know his excellence. We had become friends, and a seed of secret love had been quietly planted. In our junior year, my mother had fallen ill and passed away. It was a devastating blow to me. I was in a daze for a long time. Of all my friends, only he had noticed something was wrong, had shown me concern, and had helped me through that dark time. He was, in a way, my light. So, in our senior year, I had confessed to him. Fortunately, he had agreed, and we had been together ever since. He didn't know I was lying. I had no ex-boyfriend. He was my first love. Now, looking at his back, The memories in my mind made me waver again. The car had just started when it came to a sudden halt. My forehead hit the front seat from the inertia. It hurt. I was about to look up to see what had happened when I saw him open the door and rush out. I followed him and saw her squatting on the ground, and him shouting at her. "What are you doing out here? You should be in your hospital room. Do you have a death wish?" Perhaps even he didn't realize that his tone held no anger, only a deep concern. "Alex, the bracelet you gave me is gone. It was the first gift you ever gave me. I've always kept it safe. It must have fallen off during the car accident. I have to find it." She looked up, her eyes filled with tears. A pitiful sight. "It's just a bracelet. If it's gone, it's gone." He helped her up from the ground. "No, it was the last gift you gave me. It's very important to me. I can't live without it," she said, struggling to break free from his grasp, wanting to run out. In the end, he felt sorry for her. I clearly saw him pull her into his arms, stroking her head and comforting her softly. "It's okay. I'll get you another one." I looked at the two of them, held tightly in each other's arms. And finally, I was completely awakened. His promises could no longer be trusted, including his promise to love me for a lifetime. I wiped the tears from my eyes, opened the car door, and stepped on the accelerator, speeding past them. When I arrived at the old estate, my mother-in-law had probably already heard some rumors. She wasn't surprised to see me. She just took my hand and said, "Isabella, you've been wronged. You wait. I'll teach that brat a lesson for you and get you justice. You'll stay here tonight." I didn't refuse. I slept very restlessly that night, my dreams filled with his back as he left me. I was woken up by a noise. I opened the door and saw him kneeling in the living room, and my mother-in-law was disciplining him with a feather duster. "Isabella is up. Although Alex came early this morning to apologize to you, we're not forgiving him. I've already taught him a lesson. If you're still angry, you can hit him all you want. I won't interfere." She handed me the feather duster. "Wife, if you're angry, you can hit me. I will never make the same mistake again." He knelt on the floor, looking up at me, his face filled with guilt. I didn't take the feather duster, nor did I acknowledge the man on the floor. "If you don't cut ties with that Miss Lee, Isabella won't go back with you. You also have to swear to love her for a lifetime," my mother-in-law said to him. He quickly nodded and raised his hand. "I swear." "All right, stop it. You're giving me a headache." I interrupted him. Then I stared into his eyes and said, word for word, "Let's get a divorce." "No, I don't agree," he and my mother-in-law said at the same time. "Isabella, Alex already knows he was wrong. He will change. Please trust him one more time." "Okay," my mother-in-law pleaded on his behalf. I didn't expect her to agree to our divorce. After all, he was her own son. Even if she punished him for my sake, it was only to maintain our marriage. Miss Lee was just a poor first love. While my family's assets were comparable to theirs, it was clear who she would choose. I had only come to the old estate so he would be punished, and also to make things clear to everyone. This is not about whether you agree or not. I've already made myself clear. I've had a lawyer draw up the divorce papers. You can sign them later," I said as I walked out the door. "Isabella, you wouldn't be so cruel, would you? It's just a fit of anger, right? I was really wrong this time. I promise you. Don't leave me," he shouted from behind me, heartbroken. This time, my heart was completely still. When promises are made too often, they lose their weight. I didn't look back and drove away from the old estate. I had just gotten back to our place and was packing my luggage when he rushed in. His hair was disheveled, his tie was completely undone, and his clothes were wrinkled. It was clear he had been speeding. "Isabella, don't leave me." He came over and snatched my luggage from me, his eyes dark. "Alex, what's the point of this? I'm letting you go, letting you be with your first love. Can't you let me go too?" I really didn't want to be entangled with him anymore. "Isabella, if we have a child, you'll stay, won't you?" "With a child, you wouldn't be able to leave," he muttered to himself, completely ignoring what I was saying. I realized something was wrong and quickly ran for the door. Just as I touched the handle, he was there first, pressing his hand on the door, his eyes fixed on me. The next second, he threw me over his shoulder and onto the bed. I scrambled back, protecting myself, a little scared. "Alex, what are you doing?" "I don't want to," Wife. Our child will surely be as cute as you. He took off his tie and advanced on me. Then he pinned me down and kissed my lips. I felt a wave of nausea and kept my mouth tightly shut. Who knew that he would kiss me more fiercely? I saw my chance and bit him hard. While he was stunned with pain, I pushed him away with all my strength. Then I slapped him hard. The crisp sound echoed in the empty room. He was finally brought back to his senses by the slap. Alex, you're insane. I wiped the blood from my lips with the back of my hand, and then tears started to stream down my face. Unstoppable. Wife. I just love you too much. Don't leave me. He reached out to wipe my tears. I slapped his hand away. Get out. You disgust me. I turned my back to him, not wanting to see his face. Isabella, I said I would be with you for a lifetime, and I won't break my promise. If you're so bothered by Miss Lee's existence, I'll give her some money and send her abroad. You'll never see her again. Are you satisfied with that? He sat behind me and stroked my head. I ignored him. He continued. I won't sign the divorce papers. You're just angry. You need a few days to cool down. When I've sent Miss Lee away, we'll be as loving as before. The couple everyone envies. Okay. I didn't want to respond to his empty promises anymore. I was tired, seeing that I hadn't answered. He wasn't angry. He stood up. I'll go and arrange for Miss Lee to go abroad. You can cool down in your room for a few days. I don't want to hear about divorce anymore. Isabella. Those words hurt me too much. Hearing this, I finally reacted. What do you mean? Alex, are you trying to imprison me? Imprisonment is illegal. It's not imprisonment. It's just giving you a few days to cool down. When you're not angry anymore, we'll talk. With that, he left the room and locked the door. I frantically went to the door and tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. He had also taken my phone, cutting off my contact with the outside world. After trying in vain, I finally gave up and stayed quietly in the room. For the next few days, he would spend time with me in the evenings. He would bring a bouquet of roses and put them in a vase. They were my favorite flowers. Sometimes it would be expensive jewelry. Then he would tell me what he had done all day and finally hold me as we fell asleep. I had resisted at first, but I couldn't break free, so I stopped. This life reminded me of our happy times before. He used to like to hold me as we slept, and he would often buy me large bouquets of roses. He would get me any clothes or necklaces I liked. The same person was doing the same things now, but unfortunately, it could no longer mend the crack between us. We could never go back. This afternoon, the door was opened. I thought it was him and didn't turn around. Who knew that I would hear her triumphant voice? Miss Croft is so elegant. Still reading even when she's locked in her room. What are you doing here? I had nothing to say to her, just as I had nothing to say to him. I came to give you a gift. With that, she threw her phone on the bed. Her and his voices immediately came from the phone. Alex, you like me, don't you? It was her voice. Don't leave me, please. His drunken voice came out. It was clear he had had a lot to drink. Then came some indescribable sounds. The two of them were rolling around together. I know it was you who had Alex send me abroad. Unfortunately, you didn't succeed. He couldn't bear to let me go in the end. He came to find me and begged me not to leave. She paused and touched her stomach. Maybe there's already a child of his in here. I don't care what he did with you. You don't have to come here to show off. I said flatly, my voice devoid of any emotion. She seemed to think she hadn't provoked me enough and was a little disappointed. She turned her eyes and laughed again. I know how much you love Alex. You must be heartbroken. Anyway, in this competition, I won. I wasn't interested in competing with her. I just wanted to get out. Seeing that I was ignoring her, she shouted at me, "Hey, why are you still clinging to him? Hurry up and divorce him. I'm the one who deserves to be his wife." Divorce. My eyes lit up. Then give me your phone. I'll make things clear with him in front of you. I already knew how to get out. Are you really that kind? Although she was suspicious, she wouldn't pass up an opportunity that would benefit her. So she unlocked her phone and handed it to me. I eagerly took the phone and dialed 110. Come over now and sign the divorce papers. Miss, are you in some kind of trouble? The person on the other end was quite sharp. Yes. At the third villa in the Golden Statue community. I said quickly and hung up. Hearing me say this, she realized something was wrong. She strode over angrily and snatched the phone from my hand. You dare to trick me. There's no way he doesn't know this address. She raised her hand to hit me. What are you doing? His voice came from the doorway. She immediately felt guilty. After all, her persona in front of him had always been a weak little white flower. Isabella, are you alright? She didn't do anything to you, did she? He pushed her away and grabbed both of my arms. Alex. She couldn't accept his harsh attitude towards her. I took his hands off me, ignored him, and sat down in a chair. Alex, you were telling me you loved me in my ear last night. She deliberately brought this up to make me angry. Unfortunately for her, I had no love left in my heart. So, where would the disappointment come from? Don't talk nonsense in front of Isabella. I haven't even settled the score with you for last night. Did you drug my wine last night? Otherwise, how could I have mistaken you for her? He roared, pointing at her and questioning her loudly. I felt a wave of coldness. He was actually comparing me to her. Then he turned to me and said, Isabella, believe me, I was tricked by this evil woman. I love you. Alex, how could you do this to me? I didn't do anything. It was you who said you couldn't live without me. That you loved me. I was really blind to you. No wonder Isabella wants to divorce you. She was probably really heartbroken. I don't know that she was treading on his last nerve. Shut up. Get out of here. Who told you to come and bother Isabella? I watched them argue the whole time, waiting for the police to arrive. By my calculations, it should be soon. Sure enough, a moment later, I heard the sound of police sirens downstairs. He hadn't reacted at first. It wasn't until the police came upstairs that he realized I had called them. I explained the situation to the police, and they took me away. As for him and her, they were also taken to the police station for questioning. When I came out, it was already dark. He didn't come out. He was detained at the police station for 15 days. Everything went so smoothly after that, because we couldn't agree on a divorce. I directly applied for court intervention. Since he had imprisoned me, the court quickly ruled in my favor and granted the divorce. I stood at the courthouse door with the judgment in my hand, feeling a long, lost sense of relief. Looking at him standing behind me, I spoke to him for the first time in days. Let's part on good terms. From now on, you and I will have nothing to do with each other. Isabella, why are you so cruel? He looked at me with a bitter expression. You know what you've done. You're the one who pushed me away, step by step. Since you couldn't choose me firmly, I don't have to love you anymore. With that, I turned and left, leaving him alone to stare at my back. I took my suitcase and boarded a flight to the UK. I wanted to live in a different environment for a while. This place had too many memories of us, and it would make me upset. Life in the UK was comfortable. Back home, I often had to attend various events with him and socialize with all sorts of people. I had to be careful with my every move, for fear of ruining our model couple reputation and affecting his business. But in the UK, I was just me. I could have more time to read, to take care of the roses I had planted, and to dance freely on the street. My best friend from back home would occasionally chat with me about her and his situation. She is still dreaming of becoming Mrs. Thorne. Who knew that he would be even more ruthless? He spread the scandal of her being a mistress, so no respectable company would hire her, and she's too proud to stoop to a small company. Recently, I heard that she was caught by another man's wife. The man is in his 50s or 60s, and he looks like a fat pig. I don't know how she could stomach it. You know, the business world values reputation. So after you divorced him, he lost a lot of trust. The company's stock has been falling, and he's not in the mood to deal with it. He's been in a daze all day, like his soul has been taken away. He's in a really bad way. Hearing this, I just smiled and treated it as gossip, quickly changing the subject. But sometimes, I would feel like someone was watching me. This feeling would come and go, and it made me feel a great sense of panic. One day, I was drinking coffee on the street, and that feeling of being watched came again. I realized he was very close, so I turned around to look. I noticed a man in a black coat, wearing sunglasses and a mask. He didn't look like a good person. I thought that no one would rob me in broad daylight, so I boldly walked closer to him, wanting to see what he was up to. The closer I got, the more familiar he looked. By the time I was standing right in front of him, he had already taken off his glasses and mask. Sure enough, it was him. Isabella. Long time no see. His voice was trembling, and his eyes were misty. You've been watching me. I had no joy of a long, lost reunion. Only the annoyance of being constantly pestered. I couldn't shake him off. Isabella, since the day you left, I've been dreaming of you every night. So I found your flight information and have been watching you secretly from time to time. He said something that made my skin crawl. Are you a pervert? Or a stalker? Do you want me to call the police and have you arrested again? I really didn't expect him to be so persistent. Isabella, give me another chance. I'll pursue you again. This time stop pestering me. I won't believe your promises anymore. I've heard them enough to make me sick. Before I could even hear him finish, I cut him off. Isabella, I've been thinking, if I hadn't been so soft on her back then, if I hadn't defended her, would we not have separated? Hearing my words, he lowered his head, his eyes filled with sorrow and regret. There are no ifs, Alex. Everything is your own doing. I've moved on. You should look forward too. Go back and live your own life. I sighed. He didn't answer me this time. I didn't care about his reaction and turned to leave. I can't move on. Isabella, I really can't live without you. He was in pain behind me. The tears he had been holding back for so long finally released, attracting the attention of passers-by. I didn't look back. I had already tried to reason with him. As for the result, it was none of my business. A wonderful life was waiting for me ahead. I had to hurry up and enjoy it. Alex's epilogue. My love for Isabella was real. So when she asked me for a job, my intention was to arrange for her to be in another subsidiary. But she said she still couldn't get over me after all these years. So she had come to find me alone, with no one to rely on, just to be by my side. Even as a small employee, I softened. After all, we had been in love before, so I arranged for her to be my secretary. She saw the necklace on my desk. It was one that Isabella didn't want. I had kept it with me. She asked me for it, saying she had never worn such an expensive necklace before. I knew her family was poor, so I felt sorry for her and let her take it. If I had known later that this necklace would make Isabella leave me, I would never have given it to her. I admit I had a moment of weakness for her. She was my first love, and it was my mother who had broken us up. I couldn't forget her, so I always rushed to her side whenever she was in danger. I wanted to compensate her. Afterwards, I would feel guilty towards Isabella, and then I would regret it over and over, and then I would make promises to her over and over, making her lose her trust in me. I was the one who destroyed Isabella's sincere heart of love for me. By the time I realized it, she was completely disappointed in me. I had lost her. I regretted it, and I hated her. I spread the news of her being a mistress, and forbade any company from giving her a position, leaving her to fend for herself. Then, I had someone investigate which country Isabella was in and flew there to find her. The first time I saw her, I could hardly contain my excitement. I wanted to apologize to her immediately, but then, thinking of her distrustful eyes, I hesitated. My apologies and promises had no effect on her anymore. When I saw her walking towards me, I was really happy, but the words she said made my heart turn cold. She really didn't want me anymore. She said she already had a better life and asked me not to disturb her. I watched her leave, and I couldn't count how many times I had watched her back. Every time, she was so resolute. I told her I couldn't move on, but she didn't look back. If it had been before, she would have softened. I decided not to bother her anymore. Let me just rot in my endless regret with my memories. My Isabella deserves to live in happiness and beauty.